At exactly 9:15 on the morning of April 4, 2026, the morning silence was shattered by the arrival of 3 black SUVs carrying senior legal counsel and a meticulously drafted dossier that detonated like a constitutional hand grenade inside the royal household. Princess Anne had just legally locked Queen Camilla out of the Sandringham Estate. She executed this unprecedented blockade not as a disgruntled sister-in-law, but by wielding the binding, posthumous legal voice of the late Queen Elizabeth II. In the highest echelons of power, true leverage is never about who wears the crown. It is about who controls the fine print. The immediate catalyst for this escalating crisis was a multi-million-pound renovation initiative spearheaded by the Queen Consort. She had finalized architectural plans to convert the historic West Wing into a state-of-the-art global headquarters for her royal foundation. Contractors idling their engines to begin demolition were met by a physical and legal wall of absolute resistance from Princess Anne's legal battery. The epicenter of this fierce territorial conflict sits within one highly specific Space Room 102, internally known as the Blue Sitting Room. To the public, it is merely another beautifully appointed room. But to the blood members of the House of Windsor, it is a cathedral of memory. It is the exact room where the late Queen spent her final quiet moments reviewing her last state documents. For Princess Anne, the concept of it being gutted and turned into a glass-walled administrative hub for public relations managers was a psychological red line. When a senior estate manager demanded to know under whose authority the architects were barred, Anne's lead attorney delivered a lethal response. He cited the Crown Private Estates Act and the confidential mandates of the late Queen's final will. A bitter family squabble had instantly mutated into a targeted legal missile. By elevating this dispute to a formal legal filing, Anne engineered a structural masterclass. King Charles III could not simply order his sister to stand down without challenging the very legal trusts that protect his own vast private wealth. The legal notice served at the gates contained a hard, non-negotiable deadline. April 21, 2026, the 100th anniversary of the birth of Queen Elizabeth II. The palace was given exactly 16 days to respond, or the entirety of the West Wing would be placed under a permanent legal injunction. The atmosphere inside Buckingham Palace descended into total suffocating paralysis. Camilla, informed of the lockout while taking her morning tea at Clarence House, reacted with a completely disbelieving fury. To be barred from her own husband's private estate by her sister-in-law is a public humiliation she never anticipated. It is a stark reminder that while she wears the crown, she does not control the bloodline's history. This injunction was not an emotional impulse. It was the climax of an 18-month Cold War fought in the absolute shadows. The friction had registered on September 8, 2024, when Camilla proposed quietly retiring the late Queen's fiercely loyal staff and replacing them with her own modern administrative team. Anne remained eerily silent during the proposal, but within 48 hours, she covertly contacted the estate's senior trustees to initiate a forensic review of the trust files. The friction erupted into a direct confrontation on December 15, 2025. Deep within Clarence House, a sharp disagreement occurred over the handling of the late Queen's private correspondence. Camilla argued the letters should be integrated into the new administration's archival system, and delivered a chillingly calm rebuttal stating that the documents belonged to history, not to a press office. She was not merely listening to her sister-in-law's plans, she was auditing the future of the estate. The situation turned truly radioactive when senior curators discovered a discrepancy that sent shockwaves through Anne's legal team. 3 historically priceless pieces of jewelry, including the emerald-draped Vladimir tiara, had been quietly reclassified in the digital ledger from the permanent sovereign collection to a long-term personal loan specifically designated for the office of the Queen. But the physical flashpoint arrived on March 28, 2026. Camilla unilaterally ordered the digital security locks on the West Wing to be changed, granting her unmonitored access. Within 4 hours, Anne's constitutional battery filed emergency High Court injunctions. The Queen Consort walked directly into a legal tripwire that had been waiting silently in the dark. Constitutional scholars are quietly referring to Anne's 3-step mechanism as the Iron Shield. Step 1 is trustee activation. She acted in her strict official capacity as the supreme executive of the private estate. When Anne signs a legal document regarding the private estate, she is speaking with the binding posthumous legal voice of the late sovereign. Step 2 is the trigger condition. The property deeds contain a strict fail-safe clause. Any unilateral attempt to alter the physical structure or primary designated purpose of heritage spaces, like the blue sitting room, automatically triggers an emergency suspension of all activity. Camilla's administrative orders to gut these rooms unknowingly tripped a preset legal alarm. Step 3 is the ultimate legal override. Under a specialized heritage conservation mechanism established in 1952, an estate executive's directive supersedes the administrative decisions of the sitting monarch and their spouse. Camilla's authority allows her to manage the modern household, but it does not grant her the legal power to override the finalized will of the previous sovereign. The real-world consequences were felt at exactly noon on April 5th. A total digital blackout was systematically enforced across the Sandringham server network. Every biometric access profile and RFID card issued to Camilla's architectural team was instantly revoked. Contractors found their retina scans rejected by the security system. They were standing on sovereign ground, but they were legally barred from entering the building. Yet the political floodgates opened further. The Princess Royal aggressively expanded her investigation into the literal physical contents of her mother's private life. During an itemized inventory of the West Wing, a handcrafted red leather dispatch box from the Wickwar Company was discovered to be entirely missing. This was not a piece of antique luggage. Archival records confirmed this lockable red box contained the late Queen's handwritten personal journals and highly sensitive, unedited correspondence. Anne's legal team formally requested a full extraction of the digital security logs and raw video footage covering the northern corridor of Sandringham for the late-night hours of March 27, 2026. Anne reportedly confronted a senior member of the Queen Consort's household with a single, devastating question that silenced the room. Did you honestly think the cameras would be turned off for you? The dark suspicion fueling this legal war is that Camilla's office is intentionally removing or securely storing the late Queen's most intimate belongings to clear the psychological stage for her own era. In the ruthless world of royal public relations, if you control the artifacts of the past, you control the narrative of the future. Moving items held in a protected trust, without the express permission of the appointed executives, is a severe legal violation. If proven that Camilla authorized the covert removal of trust-protected manuscripts, she is facing a full-blown constitutional crisis with no modern precedent. At the dead center of this gathering storm is a king facing total constitutional paralysis. Sequestered at Highgrove House, Charles has only 2 catastrophic options. He can attempt to formally strip his sister of her legal status as executive, guaranteeing a highly publicized, deeply humiliating High Court battle that would inflict a fatal blow to his reign. Or he can choose to side with Anne and demand Camilla withdraw her claims over Sandringham's West Wing. To do this would publicly undermine the Queen Consort, signaling to the entire household that her authority is subordinate to the old guard. A king who cannot command his own household is a king who has lost his leverage. The sheer scale of this escalating conflict is written in cold numbers. Documents leaked from the financial wing of the palace show that the legal fees incurred have already touched £450,000 in just 7 days of high-stakes maneuvering. This massive capital is being drained directly from the king's personal funds to pay for elite property barristers billing by the minute. Every pound spent on this destructive battle is stolen from the upcoming centenary celebrations. One palace source claims Charles recently remarked during a tense telephone briefing, "I cannot be the king who presides over the public eviction of my own wife, nor can I be the brother who betrays my mother's final rest." That single agonizing sentence reveals exactly how deeply trapped the monarch truly is. As the calendar relentlessly ticks toward the April 21st deadline, 3 highly volatile scenarios are being fiercely debated within the king's war room. The first is open warfare, where Anne releases a second dossier containing evidence of unauthorized use of estate maintenance budgets. The second is a cold peace transforming the West Wing into a sterile museum annex, where the Queen Consort is reduced to a heavily monitored tenant. However, the most likely outcome is an absolute crushing victory for Princess Anne, fueled by the silent lethal support of the Prince of Wales. Deeply sourced reports suggest Prince William has privately aligned himself with his aunt to protect his grandmother's unstained legacy. With the future heir and the formidable Princess Royal standing shoulder to shoulder, Camilla's position becomes instantly untenable. If this scenario unfolds, the world is witnessing the quiet, ruthless birth of an unofficial dual dynasty. King Charles and Queen Camilla will continue to reign over the highly visible ceremonies and state dinners. But the true soul of the monarchy, the immensely wealthy private estates, the sensitive archives, and the historical property of the late Queen will be entirely governed by a powerful new alliance formed by Anne and William. They will effectively become the true shadow guardians of the crown's heritage. Yet before the world reaches the critical deadline, there is one final explosive detail that Princess Anne's lawyers have intentionally omitted from their public court filings. Highly classified information indicates that the most personal symbol of the late Queen's 70-year reign, her flawless 3-carat diamond engagement ring, crafted from the tiara of Princess Alice and gifted by Prince Philip, is no longer resting in the secure vault at Sandringham. The last recorded digital signature for access to that specific vault was logged the exact same night the West Wing locks were attempted to be breached. Furthermore, a highly discreet courier service has been traced, moving from the Norfolk estate directly to an anonymous industrial vault deep in the heart of London. The question that could bring the entire ancient palace structure crashing down by tomorrow morning is as simple as it is devastating. Who authorized the covert removal of the engagement ring, and who currently holds the only physical key to that London vault? The legal war over Room 102 might end up looking like nothing more than the polite opening argument in a much larger catastrophic battle over who actually controls the physical, historical, and spiritual legacy of Queen Elizabeth II. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the hidden constitutional warfare of the royal family. Do you believe Princess Anne has the right to legally bar the Queen Consort from Sandringham? And who do you think holds the key to that London vault? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with fellow royal watchers. We will be tracking this unprecedented crisis all the way to the April 21st deadline. Stay tuned.